Wow, hello. Good day.
Hey, boss. Good evening.
Good evening. Bright. What's up, man?
I'm doing great. I'm good. I'm good.
Hi, Mudia. Hi, Leslie. Hi, Bright.
Hey, Praise. Mudia.
Mudia,
Evening,
dear.
everybody.
Hey guys.
Mudia, I didn't expect to see you, dear. What are you doing here, dear?
Oh my day. I did.
Has Mudia
Look here. I heard that Isa means Jesus.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to use this thing before, right? They call them slides. But last minute, now I say maybe Leslie don't go swear for me.
Oh, you want just the shalaye before?
Shalaye and vibes now. Shalaye and inshallah.
You need slides.
I need slides.
You'll meet me at home. You'll meet me at home, don't worry.
You repeat vex, any small thing.
I did vex, so now I be the woman for the relationship. For the entanglement, I mean.
What?
You need to put entanglement. All right, so when do we start?
It's time.
Time don't reach.
Time don't reach.
Ah, wow. All right, I'm gonna go Figma. When Figma now I used to do slides, so forget me.
Yes. So Mudia, you are the host of this meeting. You can share your screen.
Yeah, I know. And I'm the one admitting people. You just give me work.
Okay. It happen.
Now if you do co-hosting, like two people can be hosts too.
Yeah, so the challenge now is
what you're supposed to do be that they're not doing.
No vex now. Now the plan with me I pay for now. I think it's easy.
Person from Russia here. Just they're not gonna hack this thing. I see one Russian name just now. I just say my chill. I know, like you.
From Russia. No.
How do I? Let me see if I can make it. See, I told you that to be hacked now. See, Russia. I told you.
Yeah, kick this fucker out, I beg.
How do you do that?
Instead of you to buy touch screen system, you will not buy. You see?
Like they pay this money.
I don't understand. I think a touch screen won't make the system.
Oh, Shai, how are you?
I greet all of you. I'm fine, sir. Thank you
I
for
didn't get
having
one.
me.
The Russian hackers are here.
Wow, mad. Can anyone identify this Russian?
The name is PYC. That's the name of the person.
The guy.
The Russian
PYC.
I think the Russian is playing something.
Yeah, he's playing
I don't
something.
see him.
Yeah, okay, I found him.
How did they come these people?
Stupid thing just keeps. I found him. Hello, Russian. If you can hear this, fuck off.
We love Russia, we love Russia, but not you.
Anti-good behavior, and we're gonna come to take precautions for that.
Wait, who the shall I just?
The Russian guy, the yarn now.
I don't.
He never said.
Sorry.
Don't come out to him.
I don't come out.
Yes. He's gone.
The fool and the bastard.
Life hard. I'm gonna continue my screen share. Everything I Russia one low. Okay, you disable.
Not as much. James Forrest.
Get there.
Are you fucking for real, man?
I'm not even mad.
Like,
I'm not even mad.
like you guys, I'm not actually mad, to be honest.
I'm not even mad.
So,
I'm
fuck
not
out.
I'll start here.
Oh my God.
Whoa, this is
Whoa,
crazy.
okay, fine.
I
So,
just put national anthem.
You can log in.
any name that does not feel Nigerian, just kick it out.
I can't be that.
Jesus Christ.
So can we start? Are they done? Are they out? Are they all out?
Yeah, I believe so. By God's grace, they are all out. Let me do one last scan to ensure that there are no foreign entities in this dimension.
Especially on my screen. I don't want those kind of play guitar.
All right, I think that's. I think we are basically done. We kicked them all out.
All right.
Who is Bernard Favor?
Give me a ability to share screen.
You sound foreign. I'd like to kick you out. Better speak up.
No, Bernard Favor sound like Edo name, not here, Edo boy. Our name.
Oh my God, there is someone here, and like as in, this person is actually after my heart. He's in the waiting room, yeah, and I kid you not, he says his name is Nigga.
No, let her enter. I beg, give me a ability to share screen now, Leslie. I can't share screen.
1 minute. Okay. Yes, sir.
I sent you a message, you don't reply. You
are where?
You are proud.
You realize it's a meeting, Abby?
I'm talking to Leslie.
Leslie, can I share?
Message.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I can be host.
I sent you WhatsApp message.
I want to start. All right. So, hey guys, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. To my fellow Russian people, hail Putin. All right. So, assuming that you guys can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So basically, I'm going to be talking about data and design, like the importance of data in design, and why we should not just be designing with vibes and inshallah. So, I mean, why are we talking about this? What we design, what we create, so what products is out there, it affects users, right? It affects actual people. The people who use our products, both our products and our processes are used by actual people. So I think it is more responsible to actually make sure that what you are designing, first of all, safe for them, and to meet their needs also. So because of the advantages, that's why you design. Good product design is the right balance between data, empathy, and then your gut feeling by Marco Lopez. So like I said, your design cannot just be vibes. You have to actually know what you are doing. So, I mean, how does data help? So decisions can be based on your gut feeling, right? Which is good. Your experience as a designer, you don't dig in, you don't read all the laws, so you feel this is the best approach. I mean, it's still better to take an informed decision. And why do you do that? Because humans, people, users, or whatever we're calling them these days, make use of the products and processes we design. And the best way to understand them and provide a good experience for them is to analyze what they are doing. So Cameron Chapman, the top designer at TopTal, says, data give insights to designers so that they can create the best possible designs for the people who use their products. These data can come in multiple forms, from primary and secondary sources. And the important thing for designers is to figure out what data sets are worth using to base their designs and which ones they can disregard. So how do we get data? The first kind of data you want to collect, first of kind of data you want to collect depends on what questions you're trying to answer. So I think I should go into giving some form of examples, right? Someone comes to you, I mean, I've heard this, I don't know, a lot of times in the past 2 months. So someone says I should design a landing page, what should I do? You understand? The first question is why are they designing a landing page? Or what exactly is a landing page? For the most bit, I tell people that a landing page is like the marketing part of your platform, right? It's the part of a platform that you're basically going to use to convert users to your site to use your products. And how do you do this? You create great copy, you have great call to action and the rest. Like, I mean, the basics. but you want to also be able to measure how what you have created works. So if someone says, "I want to design my landing page," one of the best things you can do is actually say, "Oh, can I look at your analytics? Can I look at your data? Can I see what your bounce rate is? Can I see the pages that have problem?" If I take our thought leaders in design, Mr. Stripe, right? You notice that although they did a really amazing new design, which I like, which is my personal bias, I decided to go through the other pages and I realized that they did not make a modification to the other pages. You understand? Because those pages actually have certain kind of information that they don't think is ready for a change yet. An example of such information is the card page. Someone knocking or something. Is the card page, right? And it maintains the old Stripe layout. I mean, if their data shows them right now that, oh, what they have done so far, the one with the multicolors and everything, doesn't work, it's not converting enough, best believe they're going to revert either to the old design or update what they have right now. And that's one thing, right? You need to always test what you are creating. Now, slight digression, right? At every given instance, Facebook is running thousands of iterations. So I mean, the Facebook you may be seeing on your phone will be different from Facebook someone is seeing on their phone. They can have 100 different versions running. And why do they do this? They use 1,000 different versions running. They do this, they use it to make decisions, right? I mean, we're heard of A/B testing. For the most part, what we do is create a particular page and then create the same, they say a particular landing page and then say, okay, let's create another design completely, right? So there are two types of A/B testing. There's one where you create landing page and then you can say, okay, maybe I should change some of the colors here, some of just like little differences, just to do a form of test, right? And there's another form where you do it's the same product, but two completely different designs, from the copy to the colors to the way you do things, right? And you're trying to gauge how people react, how people interact with these things. So in that regard, right, data is pretty important. You want to be able to see and know what actions people are doing. You have to make the best decision based on user actions. But then, right, if you are just being data driven, it can be a slippery slope. That's how you could end up making robotic kind of products, right? You want to be able to combine and find the balance between quantitative and qualitative, right? So qualitative data focuses on hard numbers, data that tells you what is happening. I mean, tools you can use are Google Analytics, Amplitude, etc., right? And it's a great tool to check what are people doing, what is the bounce rate, what are people interacting with, what features people use more. Why you notice that there's a particular difficulty with a particular feature. You understand what approach people take to complete XYZ task, right? And then you put in qualitative, which is why are people bouncing over this page? Now you have already seen from quantitative data that you have a bounce rate of about, I don't know, you have a 70% bounce rate. Why do you get? Or you realize that for your product page, there's a particular pattern to checkout flow where people drop off. That's really qualitative. You're like, what are the emotions behind this? Why are people doing this? You talk to people, you do your research. So one great thing to do is to see how you can balance quantitative and quantitative, right? See how you can balance the what and why and make more informed decisions from that. So let's use some examples. These are examples I've read and watched, and some of the images here may not fully portray what the designs looked at in the past, but you get the gist. So Spotify is my first example, one of my favorite music streaming platforms. Sadly, they're not in Africa yet. So Spotify actually had a light design at one point in time, right? So it's pretty light, and for the most part, some people assumed it was harsh to the eyes. Okay, sure, I'll share the slides. People assumed it was harsh to the eyes, right? And then they came up with their dark design, which is this one. Not this UI, but they had a dark design that came out with initially. And the joke was, I mean, you're either going like dark side dark, Star Wars dark side dark, and it may not really give you the best experience, right? And what did they do? They started actually by testing, right? They started making different variations. They tested and we're trying to observe how humans or how their users were interacting with dark mode, what was really important to people. And what they did was, I think they tested on about 5% of their total population with dark mode, and they were fine-tuning with that while the rest of the population was still maintaining that light mode, right? And now this is an actual user interface. What did they do? They decided to balance seeing key things like the picture of a playlist, the play button, like things come out. We're still the same dark mode, but there's a fine balance. It doesn't feel too dark, and there is proper contrast, right? And this was after several iterations, collecting actual data and seeing how people were interacting with the product. So why I give this example? It's really good to say, oh, okay, I know the visual laws, I know the principles and stuff, right? But one thing that helps in forming these principles is basically by observing how users interact with your products. Yeah, let's go on that one. This High-Rise HQ, I mean, it's a pretty old website, right, from like 2011, but it was interesting, right? This was the original copy, they had the original design, and they were like, I mean, they were not getting enough conversions, right? And I mean paid conversions, actually paid subscriptions and conversions, and they decided to change their design. So they started out by removing the images there, and it was more of like text-based, right? Big copy, like really cut stuff rows to show stuff. And they got a 37.5% increase. But look at what happened here. They decided to make it just have like an image, right? This was like a person smiling, and they got 102.5% conversions. So instead of you saying, oh no, this design is not fine, or it's just only text, like what do you do? How do you change the design? How do you measure your change? Because sometimes we believe the design we're doing is better, right? And that because we are pretty great designers, this would fly more. But if you do not understand like the business needs of the company, the reason they are, designing their landing page to get paid subscriptions, right? That is their primary business need. They don't really care about how good your skills are, but how can you solve the problem of, oh, we don't have enough subscriptions. Which brings to mind something I was on a seminar in December last year, and some guys from Tribal Greek were talking, right? And they were like, at every given point in time, they are trying to run iterations to see how they can get more leads on their page. I talked about how they had a certain image. Someone has hacked this thing again. They had a certain image, and then what they had to do was basically, okay, yeah, from the person. What they had to do was basically change the image. I think it was from male to female, and they were easily able to see that they were getting more conversions, right? And then they were doing slight adjustment on the copy, the pictures, the position of the pictures, basically just really slight stuff, but by just observing bounce rates, looking at how users interact with the site, right? And they were able to have a significant increase in conversions. And now, this same platform, right, when they updated the design and added a copy to the design, a longer copy with more text, and we realized that, oh boy, we dropped by 22.7% in our subscriptions, right? So, one of the best things to always do is to create your designs, come up with your decisions, but test them against data, test them against user actions and see what's going on. And my last example, now this one is pretty cool because something similar to something that has happened to me recently, right? So Hiver is a selling product where you use for the great email templates, right? And this person has to redesign you sit on this page, but there's like a quick way to access email templates when you're composing an email, when you're replying an email, right? And the key things here are the template name, the subject, and then the contents. So she started out by doing this, creating the modal that you use to pick any of the templates you want to use to reply. So what you see here is the template name, but you name your templates, and then it's like just you can see one line copy of the template body, right? And this was like, you know what? What about adding the subjects, template subjects, which is there? So if you go back, you realize that the subject is not really mandatory, right? And then what she discovered after, and she said, okay, no, let me talk to the data guys. And then they put the data set, and what they realized is that 60% of the users don't even fill the subject field, and 40% of the users that did, right, had the same subject name. Like that's just like I remember when Donabami was saying he doesn't like I've forgotten the bank and makes him type in a remark before he sends a transaction. Most times she just puts full stop here, so puts in gibberish authorized transfer, authorized his name, right? I mean, one would design might have thought, oh, I'm designing this because I want to help design the customers categorize their spending. It seems like it's nice to have. You understand, categorize their spending so they can actually track how they're spending their money. But people are telling you they don't care about that, right? And they find it annoying. And they hate the fact that you have to do that before they can make a transfer. I mean, if the particular bank is data driven, they could drop that. Now, this will happen when, after looking at the data, the person realized that, you know what, I mean, a template name and a template body is better. It has a lighter feel and it fits better. But not just because he thinks it fits better, but because the data shows that people do not really care much about subjects the way we think they do. And that was why this design was, this particular design decision was followed through. So what's my conclusion, right? First of all, you need to realize that working with design, with data in your design is pretty chill because you realize you're working with humans, you want to create the best experience for them. We are living in a data-driven world where algorithms are basically collecting data to customize themselves to us, help us give us a more personalized experience for the products we're using. I mean, for Spotify, which does music recommendation for me based on kind of taste I like, to how Google Assistant basically reads what I feel is important to me every morning, right? Data drives that design process. And also on business part, right? If you have to understand what is important to the company, you have to look at data sets to realize, okay, what can I contribute? What can I, in terms of features, processes, what can be input I will make that helps the business goals also? Looking at that data helps you design better solutions that, one, meets the user and also meets the business goals. So conclusion, designers have to engage in the practice and business of designing experiments and managing the data collection process by being part of the conversation about what design should be collected, when, and most importantly, why. And yeah, I think that makes my point for this. So I think what we're going to do right now is have a conversation and then we could dig in deeper. All right.
Okay.
So I think Leslie, you can ask the questions and then we go from there.
Okay, so we'll be taking questions. If you have any questions, please, you can either drop them in the chat or, yeah, if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat and I'll read them out for Mudia.
Okay, so I think I've seen one. How do you deploy iterations to users for testing purpose? Thank you, Kenny. So how do you deploy iterations? I mean, like I said, people have instances running, right? You can talk to your dev team and say, how can we, I have this idea for a design, but I don't want us to pull down what is dev at the moment, right? You don't want to say, oh, let's pull down the whole website and then upload this new one, and I think it's be better, and they'll test to see whether it's better. You can segment, and I think I'm going to answer both questions at once. You can segment and say, you know what, I'll take 10% of the population, or 10% of people who visit my website at random to be redirected to you, you'll be redirected to the particular B, is AB, right, to the B option of the design. And you want to see how that helps him, let's say, converting more, getting more leads, how much do people click the CTAs, you understand? How people interact with the product. So first thing is, why are people actually coming to your platform? What do you want people to do? Are people able to find the information better with the second alternative you have designed, or are people able to find it better with the first alternative you have designed, right? When you have basically deployed that, which obviously involves your dev team, you can make a decision on, oh, okay, maybe we should push out this new design, or because of the both iterations out there, this is what we have learned, and this is the design direction we should follow also. Yeah, does that answer your question? Hello, does that answer your question? I think you can use your mic. Okay, cool, awesome. How do you use Google Analytics for web design? I mean, we best talk to your front-end dev, right? But you should be able to, most platforms done correctly, you're able to hook up Google Analytics to your website just to basically track everything on your website, every click, every process that's going on your website, how long users spend on X pages, how long it takes the average user to complete a particular process. And using that, you can basically say, okay, this is data I've collected. You can do I think I will add it to part of the stuff I was sent to Leslie, basically how to set up Google Analytics for your web page, for your website. How do you convince your dev team to take on more work to implement your user testing experiments? Because most are probably not the deliverables on the project. Well, so it's not easy, right? It's not easy, but you can start by creating experiments of your own. So what kind of experiments can you create? Say, so for example, you already have a particular website running, right? You already have that one running there already, and you're working with the company. I mean, you don't want to just get up and say, hey guys, let's redesign, let's start running A/B tests, right? You have to get stakeholder buy-in. How do you do that? So start with saying, asking yourself, what data can you lay your hands on? You can lay your hands on data. If hopefully you have Google Analytics set up, or let's say you're working with the company, right, on what's currently running. Then get access to that data, look at that data, see, okay, maybe there's a bounce rate, maybe there's something it's wrong, or maybe there's something you feel that can be improved. So like basically analyze this data properly, and then I think one of the best things to do is to present a graphical document that shows the problem. You're saying, oh, okay, on our homepage is doing fine, but when someone wants to fund a wallet, or when someone wants to fund a farm, or when someone wants to buy a shoe, at this particular process, I found out that we have a 60% drop rate, you understand? And I think we should improve on this, and maybe we should push out a particular design just to test the smallest of people on how we can improve this. So you have to show them that there's a problem. You have to show them that, see, I feel this can be improved because of this data that I've gone through. That's the best way to convince them. And then you can also do the usual by creating surveys for your particular product. If you don't have that access, you can start by creating online surveys for your product and just asking your target market or your customer. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I have no idea what just happened.
Yeah, the thing, everybody does run it. But were you guys hearing me at all?
No.
Yes.
Did Godson hear my answer to this question? I asked Godson a question initially. Yeah, I was answering Godson's question.
I didn't get the last part you said about your accent, but I get the whole gist. So basically, make a convincing argument with data.
Yes, that's the idea. You have to make a confusing argument to your teacher. So yeah, if you heard that, then you heard. Another question. Any other question?
Godson has a question from you. For you. Check the chat.
Okay. I saw an article one time about Google Analytics having its own negative on-page load times. Can I talk about that? Okay, yeah. So from a dev perspective, right, there are things that may be resource intensive when it comes to loading a web page. So for example, you want something that loads fast, right? And depending on no matter the network, you want something that loads pretty fast. And you want the person to come to your page, add their shoe to cart, and then check out, right? So speed is important for you. I think it will not be the best thing as a designer to now design a page that you know would be resource intensive, that you have PNGs flying around, animations flying around, XYZ interactions that are just animating on themselves. Why those are pretty chill and pretty great, right? They're resource intensive, and you need to ask yourself if this is actually pretty important to what is important to the product or to the experience you're trying to create. So I think, is it Facebook? I was watching Design Disruptors, right? They have this thing called Data 2G Wednesdays, 2G Thursdays, right? And usually for them to use an experience in places where they have poor internet, right? Who is there? It's loud noise. Okay, cool. So once you can see that, okay, what you have created may be resource intensive and that it perfectly loads time, part of your job and your relationship with the dev to see what can we remove, how can we make load time faster, how can we balance having great load time and then a great experience for users. Now, one thing you can even use to mask your load time if you want, if you're still insistent on loading all your resources, right, is to have a form of loader. Now, I know Philemon hates loaders, right? Those things counting from 0 to 100, or those nice animations that seem to be wasting your time. But in a way, they help just make the user sort of patient, right? I mean, there's something to look at. It's also look at if it's frozen or not until it's loading. And then the other resources can be basically served in the background. So yeah. I just have to finish for page load times. What would be included when sending a proposal? I'm struggling to understand how that relates to this. How does that, can you bring context in how it relates to what we've spoken about today? You can just type it and then we'll go on from there. Hello?
Oh, like he. Okay.
Okay. Leslie, I think people are in the meeting room though.
Yeah, no, I'm admitting people into the meeting I'm moving people from the meeting room in here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's basically all on me right now. So I think we peaked at 40 participants, and that's good. And we're holding at 38, which is, right, really good.
People have actually been texting me that they have not been able to enter. So I think they're entering.
It's been
okay.
It's been a flood. Like I had to start removing people from the waiting room, people with weird names, but it's all good. So any more questions, or are we all good?
And then we can basically have a conversation, right? I mean, I mean, I know the conversation has looked very, very quantitative. It looked really from a quantitative point of view, right? But this does not remove from qualitative. I mean, it still boils under your research. I had Ima talking today, and I had a premise that I felt it is, and I'm not talking strictly from a statistical standpoint, that when people say, oh, I made this design decision for a complete overhaul. I mean, in quotes, is complete overhaul of this product after testing with 5 users. I always feel that is not the most optimal, right? But he says it's better to test one person and make a decision based on that than not to actually test them, like to test zero people and make a decision based on that, and just make a decision based on your gut feeling or your intuition, right? Well, yeah. I mean, it's still struggle for me to feel that 5 people can represent the population. It now depends on what you're trying to find out. Do you get? Yeah. I mean, it's better when you like, okay, maybe it's a form of usability test or some kind of usability process you're trying to validate. At that point in time, 5 people is pretty great. But I still feel there should still be a fine balance between you applying okay, yes, you've tested with those, you've interviewed those 5 people, right? But how do you back that up with data? Because you won't, I don't think you work in multinational and say you want to overhaul their design based on your interview with such a small amount. 5 people is not enough to represent it's not enough sample size for a product that uses, let's say, a product that has 10 million users. So imagine I design a bank app based on that. I mean, while it looks good on your case study, it's not really the optimal way to design products, in my opinion.
Okay, so I usually hold the opinion that okay, let me not say I hold the opinion. When I was looking into user research, and especially with respect to interviewing users or getting feedback from users, I read somewhere, I can't remember exactly where, that the optimal size is somewhere between 10 and 15 people. Then basically anything beyond that point, you just start noticing a pattern emerge. Like you can almost you can almost predict the responses that people are going to give beyond that point.
Mm-hmm. Understand. So, like, I mean, like some form of diminishing returns at a point where you feel the insights that you're getting not so gel.
Yeah. So what then happens? Does that not mean that you optimize whatever it is you're testing for, or is that like the final thing?
I mean, to be fair, right? If you've gotten reasonable insights from like 5 people, right? I think you should try and balance that up with doing your own quantitative, right? So it's basically finding, like I said, finding the balance between the why and the what. Why is this happening, or what's happening? So you can even do, so you identified a particular pattern that's emerged from 35 people, and then you can set survey questions that to see how, let's say your survey is targeted at, let's say, 5,000 people, right? To see what the frequency of that pattern is, also to see what other insights you can glean. You understand? So if someone can tell you, anytime I come to the website, I have to log in, wait for 5 seconds, close and come back again, right? Before I can use it. You can like, that's odd, I've not experienced that. But then you can ask, okay, how many times do you have to come back to the website before you can have a particular experience, and then you can actually say, okay, there is this pattern that's emerging. Okay, so we need to work on maybe the dev side of the thing or the design side of the thing. But those patterns can basically help craft the kind of questions you come up with if you're going to start doing internet surveys that gives you quantitative data that you can analyze and use to back up your decisions. So, like, personally, right, when people send me stuff for feedback, I really try to resist the urge to unnecessarily shall I answer, you should have done this, you should have done that, right? I try to see what the idea is. So, okay, what are you designing? Can you give me some context? Sometimes people just drop designs and don't give context, and maybe I'm being too busy. I may just drop 1 or 2 comments, right? But for those that give me proper context, we're able to have that kind of conversation. So, okay, why are you doing this? What are you trying to solve? You understand? And okay, maybe what is your research even yield? That could be a possible question I will ask also. You understand? And it now depends on if it's a new product or it's an existing product. So an existing product, I think that's one of the best things to work on existing products that has data, right? You can actually now make decisions based on the data you have seen, which is why I think most big companies that are probably segmented thrive, right? So imagine as a designer, you have a great relationship with the data department, like the data analytics department. That would be a dream come true, because since you can apply your gut, you can do interviews, you can also apply whatever insights they give you there also. Okay, so I think someone asked a question. Practically, say you notice you have a 60% drop rate as users go through checkup process. How do you identify the cause? I mean, you identify the cause, but actually see okay, how do you identify the cause? Why are they dropping out? Okay, yes, this is a pretty good question, actually. So you can actually start by actually looking at the design yourself, trying to, okay, let me go through the process that people go through. Why did they drop out at this point, right? Like, could just be as funny as, they drop out at this point because anytime they try to pay with card, which is the default option people select, right? It does not work, or people find it hard to see a way to use that card to pay, so they just get frustrated and leave. It could be something else entirely, that when you're adding the product to cards, the cards start acting up, right? Or there's something wrong in your design process somewhere. So if you can identify it while you're going through the process yourself, great. If you cannot identify it at all, right, the best thing to do now is to say, okay, I've seen users, I mean, let's be honest, for the most part, we have information of most of the users that are on our platform. You can send like emails and say, okay, I want to do a survey of as to why did you drop off at this point? You understand? Yeah, you could be lucky people will respond. You can actually also do open surveys to ask people what they think about your product and your process. Now, doing that surveys will now give you the answers to what's going on, right? And as to why, okay, maybe at that point in time, people are dropping off that process, and then you can now fix the problem that is there. What percent of users do you think is ideal for testing? User testing and feedback. Also, I mean, I really not have, I can't give you a magic number, right? I can tell you the example from Spotify. It's about 5% to keep doing their A/B testing. Facebook, depends on your numbers, right? Facebook has 1 billion people, maybe more than 2 billion users or something. And they can decide to run tests on about 600,000 users, which is a pretty small percentage, but it's still a lot of people, right? So it depends, how many people do you have? How many people, this new design you are rolling out, right? Or that you want to use to test. If you have 100 people and you want to do 10%, that's 10 people. Terrible that those 10 people are your highest paid customers, maybe dangerous, right? So it does depends on the dynamics you are working with. So yeah, that's what I think. So you can, and also it depends on the technical know-how of the team you're working with. I feel if we were to cross your fingers, maybe starting with 5 to 10% doesn't seem so bad. You can test and make insights from there. And like I say, it's a continuous process, right? You test, you get feedback, you learn from what you have done, you monitor the data to see things that are working and things that are failing, and then you can go on from there.
Okay, so I want to ask, what are the stages by which? Okay, no, not stages. Sorry, that's wrong way. What are the channels by which you can use to obtain this data?
Okay, so Google Analytics is one of the best ones out there. That is very quantitative data, right? Surveys using Typeform and Google Form works. There's this tool, I'm sorry I can't remember the name right now. There's this tool people actually do for A/B testing of static designs. This one, what they do is they send you a link, right? And then they give you access to either one of the designs. I think select at random, or you use both of them. But basically, they ask you questions after you have used each particular line. That's what they do. They ask you questions after you have gone through all either A and B. So when you're done with A, they ask you a question. When you're done with B, they ask you a question. And then they can connect data based on that. They also try to track stuff like maybe your eye movement to see what was difficult for you to identify, what's easy for you to identify. So enter that, okay, I think there's usercrowd.com. Yes, let's do usercrowd.com. So there's that. So you can use such a tool to get data. Then obviously there are now for qualitative, you can do observations, contextual inquiry, and one-on-one interviews. Those are also processes you can employ. So yeah, those are the tools you can use, tools and processes you can use for getting data. And then there are companies that build their own in-house toolings and stuff like that, just to track and collect data.
Okay, so that's good. Wow, what's
yeah, that's just confirmation.
Yeah,
I mean, but I was hoping to ask this, but thing is, bias is human, right? One of the biggest problems we have is okay, cool. And one of the biggest problems we have at least confirmation bias. So one of the best things to just a designer is to go with an open mind. I think the biggest problem we make and why confirmation bias creeps in is we're trying to validate something we are very sure of. You understand? I feel it's like this. So I'm looking for data to prove that it's like this. Not that I'm looking for data to show me what it really is. You understand? So why bias exists in humans? I mean, bias even exists in algorithms. You should try as much as possible to create processes that would, for the most part, filter out that bias and help us have more objective results. So if you are, when bias can play, for instance, is when you're doing survey data, right? You can ask questions in such a way that you want to confirm your own bias. It's not really that you want to like learn anything. And then you cannot learn, and if you know you don't want to do that, if you feel that that is something, if you are sure as a designer that, see, I want to eliminate bias, I mean, look for better ways, more fine-tuned ways that we get this information, how you write your questions well, how you phrase stuff, you understand? Even for your one-on-one interviews, the kind of questions you're asking. That's why I remember just want to talk about having open-ended questions. And so that have open-ended questions that you can use to basically have a conversation with the person, and not just a yes and no, just because you want to confirm something or refute something. You can just basically have a conversation with the person to learn more and glean more from that person. And then I don't answer this in so much detail because I mean there should be one or two research experts here, right? But like I said, it's just to have a process in place that reduces as much bias as possible that you can reduce. And then also you can't, it is, except you want to flog the data to tell you something else, you can't have bias in some form of analytics, for example, right? That's looking at bounce rate. There's no way you can bring bias into presenting bias theory. You're not serious. There's no way you can bring in. Sorry, I don't say that to make me laugh. There's no way you can bring in bias into something like looking at drop rates. You understand, from your website. It is actual data that you cannot refute. But I mean, it's saying that you can torture data to the point that it tells you what it wants to tell you. So I think it's better to, if I look at quantitative data, work with the experts there when you're crafting questions to collect data. Make sure that they are as objective as possible. When you have one-on-one interviews, make sure that the conversations are open-ended and it's more of you wanting to learn and not wanting to confirm what you have in mind per se. Chukwu said you can use UXCam for mobile apps. So tools that we mentioned here is UXCam, Look Back, and Maze the Design. All right, so I think we can take 2 more questions and then we'll call it a day. I think that works. Okay, full story. I have no idea what that is. I've not used it before. Yes, so I think you can all meet Chukwuka for all the tools. You just will share after this meeting. So Leslie, any question? I think I can do 2 more before I vanish. Leslie, I don't know. I can't hear anyone. Oh, okay. IoT stories. Here, Unamdi, welcome. So Unamdi is a data scientist and IoT expert. He also pretty much understands how data works in terms of, from analyzing it to also collecting data from your hardware devices and stuff that's interconnected. So I'm guessing there's not a question, right?
Well, that's how it looks like.
That's what it looks like.
Oh, well.
All right. Cynthia is asking this, my first time here. Do you do this always? Leslie, how often do you do this?
The plan is to do it twice a month, once every 2 weeks.
Okay. Awesome.
The next one is going to be 2 weeks from now, 2 weekends from now, I think. So.
Right. So for resources that you could read also, there's a great book called Designing with Data by Rochelle King Elizabeth. So let me see if I can just paste the title somewhere.
Meanwhile, Mudia, they're asking how they can reach you.
Twitter, Imasuen Design, or my email. I'll post that here.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you send to everyone? That's the author's name. It's called Designing with Data. Data. Email. Twitter is all right, so that's all for today, basically.
All right, so okay, so let me just put the Jobcaster group here.
Okay. Cool.
All right, so that's TWMI, that's design Jobcaster NG. Yeah, that's it. That's
Sorry.
it.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Yeah, so I was listening to the conversation concerning your listen. So I just wanted to ask a question because I agree with everything you said as regards to designing the data. The only thing I would say, because normally with startups, one of the things we've noticed, especially most of the product designers usually work with startups, and one of the things I've noticed is it's very difficult to like have them buy major stakeholders on a particular project buy into using data to actually inform their design. So for example, now I would say, okay, let's look at a mobile app, for example, a financial mobile app. You notice that a lot of the people who use your applications are not necessarily technologically savvy. You have numbers to back that, but the major stakeholders involved in your project actually like want it. Do you understand? They want a particular feature simply because you know how startups are, simply because they have full control over the decisions of what is going to be on a particular mobile app. So I'll say, how do you how do you get these major stakeholders to actually buy into the idea that you actually have to design for data? That's just that's the only question I have.
First of all, I feel this is basically like all those apps, quote unquote, that are preaching financial inclusion but running on iPhone. I mean, stuff like that.
Thank you. That's exactly. Thank you.
Because
these are actually problems that for example, I personally face those kinds of problems every day. You get, and those are and to be honest, one of the things, because me personally, okay, let me just divert just a little bit. One of the reasons I think it's important to actually get this right is because we need to get to a stage in design whereby we are actually consultants rather than just pixel pushers. You get. So we need to be able to involve. We need to be able to like inform stakeholders. So how do you think you will go about it? So I just want to pick your brain a bit on that.
All right. So I would have loved you to pick my brain, but I think the best person who can answer this is Chukwuka, because Chukwuka has faced such problems and he has like more on ground experience facing things and stuff as that. Chukwuka, can you help me out here? Chukwuka.
Shaiwan?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shaiwan. Yeah, you heard the question. So how do you convince stakeholder to buy into your suggestion of using data? So he gave an example of an example is we're creating a financial inclusion product, right?
Yeah.
And we know that there's buzzwords, but then again, your financial inclusion product it runs on iPhone and Android devices. And we both know people who need financial inclusion are on the low end of the spectrum, who at most have USSD phones. You understand? So how do you convince stakeholders that say, you know what, I understand this is your project and you have all the power, but I feel we should go in this direction based on the data that I have. So how do you fight such battles? Because basically this is a battle you need to fight. How do you fight it? How do you convince them?
Okay. So I'm going to speak from my experience, right? And you don't have to go to war with like your sword and your gun and everything. You guys go with like your brain. Like you need to actually trick them into that buy-in. So using my own company as an example, first, some of the things I did was that I actually had to test with at least one person in the presence of CEO and COO. So they insisted on a particular design, and I was like, this might not work. And they were like, no, let's do it this way. And I go, okay, no, wala. Can I get just one person, to come check this out, like somebody different who isn't a part of us in the company? And so this guy came, and when we gave him to test, he just killed everybody. Like the first feedback we got was, who does this, right? The CEO was quiet, and the COO said, talk to the designer, right? And so I started, in front of both of them. And we went over the designs, and then they actually saw that there was a need for me to bring in more users. Now, another thing I did was, so when I got in, they wanted me to redesign the product, right? And I didn't know what to do, right? They refused to share like data with me and stuff. Maybe they were afraid I was going to steal their idea and all that. So I got the COO to sit down with me to design the homepage or the home screen of the app. And after 2 hours, we couldn't do anything. And he said he was having headache. And I said, okay, now that you've tried and I've tried and we've tried together, can you give me 5 people from the database for me to talk with and blah, blah, blah. And they went to the database and they found out that, they had a lot of people in the database, but nobody was active, right? So that was like one other way that I was able to get by actually showing them that we already have this product live, but then nobody, because they were not even, looking out for that if people were using it or not. They were after signups, right, and not returning, people returning back to use it. So I mean that was another eye opener for them, and they later gave me like some people to talk to. I think another way I got buy-in was to actually get in touch with a foreign designer. I was like, okay, you know what? Talk with this person. Tell this person what you want to. Let's hear what she has to say. So the COO explains, blah blah blah, and the first thing she does is asks, "Can I see your analytics?" And COO goes, "Oh, ask designer." She asks me, and I go, "Oh, there's no analytics, right?" And she says, "No, analytics is really important. How do you know what you want to change? Blah 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 blah." And so those are like some of the ways I was able to get buy-in. So, in summary, see how you can get see how you can get external support or internal support. I don't know how to explain this. Like someone who is an expert in that field, right? See how you can get the support from the person to come explain things or to actually make them see the need, to buy into that. So for example, if you're doing a fintech app, what you probably do is to look for maybe somebody who works in a bank or somebody who works in one of these fintech startups who you're sure actually, where you're sure that they actually measure and do stuff like that, and get them actually like maybe advice. Talk with the COO, advice. 2 would be to show examples, right? Like look at your competitors. If they have put up any article or something with regards to data, show that to your management. Like, oh, look at these people. They actually do what we are trying to do. This is how they've been able to do it because they were able to measure blah blah blah. And then you can actually just measure quietly. Make friends with your dev team, with your dev guys. Tell them, okay, you know what? Please just do me a favor. Help me check this. And then you put up that data of what you did, what you checked, side by side with what they insisted on. And you tell them, this is what you insisted on, and this is the result currently. This is what I tried differently, and this is the result, currently. Because at the end of the day, nobody would say no to more revenue, right? If you show them that what you did actually boosted maybe, return rates or checkout rate or something, and revenue increased or users grew, right? They would next time not they will next time not actually be in your way. I mean, it starts gradually too. It's not something that you fight overnight. And something else you need to do is learn to speak their language. Don't always go with the whole design gibberish. Like, try to also learn to speak their language. Oh, I want to do A/B testing. What is A/B testing? Okay, I want to have 2 different landing pages to see which one will bring more money. When you say that, it actually makes more sense to management because it's money, more money that is involved. So on that note, I don't know if all this shalaye have been able to pick anything out for. Those are some of the ways I've been able to fight my own battle.
All right, thank you very much, Shaiwan. Nuhu, you raised your hand. Do you have anything to say?
Yes, good evening. Sorry for joining a little bit late.
No, it's not a problem.
Okay, there's one quick thing I really want to point out is the fact that designers need to have this data-driven mentality. It's not about going to the design page and put up some things. Let's, as designers, come up with this idea that before you begin to talk to your clients or your management, make them understand that for better efficiency, your data-driven design is more productive. Because if that is in the forefront, they will know this is the kind of thing you do, and this is exactly what brings results for the design you're going to do. So it's let's have that as a mindset. When we meet clients, when we meet management to talk with them, they should know this is who we are and this is what we do better. Because I've come to understand that if you have data, just as you've explained through this course, if you have data, a lot of things will be easy for you to do. You don't assume, you don't allow your own biases to come into play. You don't give feedback because of your own feeling and emotion. So, and secondly, there are many ways you could get data depending on the kind of tool you're building or you're designing. So you need to understand who are the key players in that organization, who are the stakeholders that you need those data from. So designers need to start thinking in that direction of not just getting the beautiful designs out there, but how can they get the data that will drive the idea behind the design. That's just a little I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nuhu. I think I saw something else directly beneath. No, not the WhatsApp, not the book. How can it be raised? Can we call this a meetup? Taiwo, I like, if this is not a meetup, I don't know what else is. So we've spoken about confirmation bias. We've what else? Yes, Code Poet. Yes, you raised your hand. You wanted to say something.
Hey everyone. Sorry, I also came late. Like I just remembered that the meetup is coming up. So yeah, I had some thoughts around how do you.
Before you continue, let us know who you are.
Oh, sorry. Because you mentioned Code Poet, I thought you knew me. Okay. My name is Femi Omoni, and so I'm a software engineer and also a designer. So
welcome.
So,
Unicorn enough.
Woo, 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 woo. Unicorn.
Oh, now this one I'm whining. So yeah, and I currently building my startup Foodie. So yeah. Yeah, about the how do you bring up conversations around to top management for helping them to integrate data into design and making them have design-driven decisions, right? First thing first, I think from the initial engagement you have with either as a company that is maybe it's a contract or like a normal employment, right? I feel most of the time employees, they don't interview the companies. And this is what I mean. You're getting into a company, right? And you don't even know if your voice will be heard. Because I don't think it should always be a struggle for you to be able to make your voice heard within a company, right? If a company doesn't give you that opportunity from the get-go, right, then that company shouldn't even be a good fit for you to work in or work for in the first place, right? That's like the first step. So I think from the get-go, designers, you should also find a way to gauge that level of trust that they give to employees or contractors or whatever it is from the company. So because when you have an interview or a discussion, it's not just a one-way thing. Like, oh, the company is interviewing you as a designer to work for them. You should also actually interview them in such scenarios. Ask them questions like this around bring up such a scenario. If I'm to do this, what would be your response? Because most of the time, employers will always ask you questions like, do you have any question for us? People just say no and go, right, and accept the job and fine, because they just want to get the job, right? So I think that's one thing. Also, I don't know, the previous person that spoke already spoke about back speaking their language and backing up with data. So that's is pretty fine. But I think before you even get to that stage, because I've worked with very, very arrogant stakeholders or co-founders or what have you, where no matter what you say, it's whatever they want to do, they will do. Like they just see you as a pen or a tool. I've worked for a founder that will say he's the designer, right? He's not the designer. He will tell you he's the designer, that he's just telling you what to do. So if working in that kind of environment there's nothing you can do. If you like bring spreadsheets, everything, there's nothing you can do. They will just do what they want to do, right? So that's not a good fit for you. You understand? So I think we should also find we shouldn't always feel that, oh, because the money is right and everything else is right, it means the job is right, right? We should also actually interview the company also before you actually get the job in the first place. So that's just my own take on this.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate your inputs.
Thanks, Femi. So, Gotimi Joku said, an environment with no creative control allowance will break you down. You do not want to be in such an environment. Who is iPhone? Who is Jeffrey?
An environment with no creative control allowance. Can you elaborate on that?
All right. So what I meant to say is, so basically, prior to now, I used to do community in the University of Nigeria. So I typically work with people, and when I have people doing stuff, I just tell them what I'm trying to achieve and let them have their own say. You understand? I do not give dictation. So, but there are places where you just go and they will tell you and still give you the steps to follow. So when you have that kind of thing happening, it's probably not going to be the best for you, because you might have the best approach and it's just like IT. For some folks, they'll say, I had an IT placement and I knew what I was doing, but they always make me look at the chart to follow step-by-step process. And meanwhile, you knew what you were doing. It's probably going to have a toll on you. So that's what I mean.
Okay. Well, if you put it that way, if people have a process, I want to conform to that process. The best thing to do first of all is to understand the process, right? I'm working on a project right now where I have my own process of doing things, right? But the people have their process of doing things, and what I'm having to do is to conform to their process and learn their process. And once you can learn and understand their process, you cannot optimize it to fit whatever creative flow you have. Do you get whatever like a hybrid of some sort, or something that doesn't break the rules too much, and they allow you to have a little bit of wiggle room. So yeah. That's like the idea of interviewing the company. Cool.
So,
All right, guys. Today's been fun. It's been an hour already. Me and Leslie actually planned 30 minutes, but you know, Leslie proposed, God disposed.
oh, come on.
Thanks a lot, guys, for coming. I'll be sharing a few links on Twitter in a bit of how I got my resources, and yeah, that's all for today. Thanks, guys. Really thankful you guys came. Gracias.
All right. So thank you guys very much for coming. I think we peaked at 50-51, which is really awesome. Thank you guys so much. This talk is going to be happening twice a month, once every 2 weeks. So the next talk we'll be having is going to be like in 2 weeks' time. I hope you guys will be ready for that one as well. This talk is brought to you by Design Jobcaster. I have dropped our Telegram channel on the link below. Also brought to you by Circle Creatives. And we will be seeing you in 2 weeks' time. Stay safe, stay good, wash your hands, and bye.
Bye, guys.